Hey friends, welcome back to the Gentle and Lowly Co podcast. I'm Addie Ott, your host, and today we are going to be talking about when the future feels far away. Now, I'm really excited to get into this conversation, and specifically, if you are listening, I know we have some younger kind of crowd, and so for our friends who are listening who are either in college or going back to college or starting college for the very first time, this episode and conversation is one for you. This has been kind of on my heart for a while, and I was just reminded and remembering just everything that God has done in my life, just getting together with friends and new friends, being new friends, and just sharing our testimonies. And I was like, you know what? This conversation would have been so helpful for me when I was entering college because, when I look back at my college career, there is so much that God did, and just in my faith, that was a really groundbreaking season for me just to go deeper, but also to discover who God was calling me to be. And so this conversation is specifically for you if you are in that season. And if you're not, like, continue to listen to this if you have a kid in that season who's going to college or in that kind of age range, or if you know someone, share this conversation with them and listen to it, and hopefully you'll get something out of it as well. And so we are going to dive into that topic a little bit later, but first we're going to start off with music of the week. Music of the week this week is really fun. There's two songs for us this week, and they're definitely more worshipful songs. So if you aren't in a reflective mood quite right now, I usually am in a reflective mood quite a bit, especially with the fall and the changing of seasons. It's kind of gotten colder up here in northern Indiana a little bit faster than I was anticipating. So I think that just makes sense why these songs are more reflective, but especially worshipful ones. But go back to a couple playlists, on Spotify that I've had if you meet some like more upbeat ones. But just a disclaimer, they're more worshipful and reflective songs. So the first one is Jesus Messiah by Worship Solutions. And this is the whole album is like Worship Solutions Volume 4. And one, the cover is really fun. It's like this really cool kind of duotoned or transparency with like yellow cover. It's just really fun that it's monochromatic, but also like this whole album, I need to listen to the rest of it. But this song, Jesus Messiah, again, very more reflective, but just remembering that Jesus is our Messiah and he is the one, like who he said that he actually is. And so this song I just found really encouraging. I think it came on when I was driving and I was like, oh wait, I need to take a screenshot of this one. This one is one just to remember and to ground ourselves in the truth of who Jesus says he is. So that's definitely the first one for this week. And then I swear I didn't do this intentionally. This is just how it happened, where I was like, wait a minute, this was another screenshot. Okay, this is cool. Where this song, the album cover, is also yellow. So we're on a yellow theme. And that's definitely like one of our kind of brand colors. If you're new to the podcast, I am a graphic designer, multidisciplinary creative by trade, and author and entrepreneur. And so this is really fun for me to like look at all the different kind of designs and just like the creative process in a different lens that I don't usually get to do. But this song specifically, really fun, but also the style of the album cover reminds me of Morgan Harper Nichols, and she is a poet and an author and I think a speaker. And this style, correct me if I'm wrong, go look at it. Tell me on Instagram over at Addie.Ott and let me know what you think, your thoughts if you're a designer like me, and if you just like the song in general. But it is called Never Leaving, and it's by Milana Hainline. I think that's right. Hainline and Paint and Honey. So it looks like a collaboration between the two of them. And this is actually an older song, which I didn't realize from 2022, but I don't know how it came across my Spotify algorithm. But this song is definitely a more reflective one. And so if you are not in this kind of reflective mood, you're going to be like, Addie, this is a very deep one. But it is. I mean, we all know that there are different seasons we go through in our walks with the Lord, whether it is like that mountaintop, the top of the mountain, kind of the peak, or the valley, or we're kind of coming down from the mountain and going back up it. And for me personally, this is probably a little bit more transparent if you listen to this song. My daily reality, though, is I am an overthinker. And so that is something that I can wrestle with and stress out about and just overthink everything, analyze it again and again and again. And so if you're a chronic overthinker like me, you're not alone, friend, but you might really like this song. But also just like the world is heavy and there are hard things we are all walking through. And so this song, if you listen to it, you might be like, oh, this is a little bit heavier, a little bit deeper. And it is definitely, gave you a disclaimer at the beginning. It definitely is. If you're not normally wired like that, maybe maybe wait until you're feeling some feelings to listen to it. But for me, I am in a reflective mood maybe 24/7. I know it can sound stressful, but when I am feeling things deeply, or having questions and wanting to talk about things. I think this the reminder and the encouragement is that we can bring our questions, our wrestling, the tensions we feel in life, in work, in our relationships, in our friendships, and in our faith, like whatever those things are, or even if it is literal pain and fatigue and tiredness, all of those things. I found that this song is a deep encouragement. And again, it reminds me to 2 Corinthians 12 9 through 10, where Paul is talking about, for in his weakness, like that is when Christ is glorified and magnified. And that is where Christ tells him, my grace is sufficient for you. And so that is probably something that I am always going to look towards. There are things where I think all of us, we can be, you know, we can feel inadequate maybe to the things God has called us to do, or we feel behind, or we, are trying to see the beauty and the goodness in the current season we are in. And so let that be an encouragement for you, friend, that, you know, I'm going to show up here online because I want to continue to have these conversations. But also, the reality is, we are all walking through something, and I Or you may be like me, where I feel like that is a tension, where that I can see the fruit, I can see the harvest, but also there are moments behind the scenes where like this is really hard and you have to keep going, and you're trusting God on the word that He entrusted to you. You're trusting Him and you're taking Him at His word. And so I pray that this encourages you, that you will take God at His word. So let's jump into theme of the week. Now, this week, I kind of alluded to last week, Labor Day, and that was fun, getting to spend time with family as well. Always have like a big annual reunion, and that was great. But this past weekend was especially fun because it was the second year in a row we went to the Barn Artisan Market. I guess we, as in Gento and Lowly Co., went to that market second time in a row. And it was a great time. It was such a great experience. There's a little bit of wind and things, but it wasn't nearly as bad as a previous market the other week, and it got totally rained out, and that was really hard. I'm glad everything got saved and was able to be present for this market and everything, kind of salvaged. But this market was one that really is my favorite probably from this past year, where it's just one that is a local market, really fun getting to see people. But if you were at that market, the Barn Artisan Market, just want to give you a special shout out and just thank you for coming and being there. It means the world to me. And I had my mom helping me this weekend and helping me out with Kodak, my dog. And so it just was really fun just to spend that quality time with my mom and my dog and also my community around here. And so that was really the theme of the week. It's just really cool to see relationships kind of compound and build on one another year after year, and especially just with the growth of Gento and Lowly Co. And so that was really fun. Definitely like a highlight of my weekend, but I'm really excited for what the rest of the year holds, and we're gonna have some online collections for sure before the end of the year. So stay tuned with that. But that was really my theme of the week was just being with family, being with my mom and my dog Kodak, and just getting to spend some time in community. And I love markets for that reason. Okay, so let's dive into our main topic when the future feels far away. So, this episode is very much a conversation where I'm just going to share about my kind of college career and experience. And that was now about 6 years ago. Believe it or not, I graduated in 2019 from SCAD, which was in Savannah, Georgia. If you know Savannah College of Art and Design, that's where I went, studied photography and minored in graphic design. And I absolutely fell in love with it. Loved the city, loved the people, and just the art and the immersion of just like this really unique historical city. And that was such a unique thing for me. Like growing up in Indiana, we just didn't have anything like that. And I traveled, across the states, different places, growing up, vacations. But we mainly kind of stuck to like the East Coast and Midwest areas. And so for me, like college was an incredible time where God really like took my faith even deeper and solidified it in a different way. And even like this heart for ministry for me really began to grow. And I went there for art, went to art school to study that, to pursue a creative career. And it's really cool how God really shaped and transformed my heart. And if you're on YouTube, Kodak is making a grand appearance. And so these are the things that, looking back now for 6 years, these are the things I would tell my younger self, kind of, and tell a freshman who's going into college, or a sophomore or junior or senior, but especially if you only have 1 or a couple years left. Like sometimes when we were so much younger, like I was this way in high school where I was like, by junior year of high school, I was kind of ready to move on. If I'm being honest, I was ready because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to art school then. I wanted to pursue photography. I wanted to be an adventure, an outdoor lifestyle or landscape photographer. And for me at the time, I thought that meant working for National Geographic. I didn't really know what that job totally entailed. And then maybe eventually it was like Patagonia, Black Diamond, all of these brands that were all of these like outdoor brands. And I could name a bunch of them, but I won't bore you with that. But that was like kind of my missional focus, if you will, where I was like, I'm going to go to school for photography. I'm going to actually pursue a creative career seriously. And so looked at a ton of different schools, landed at SCAD, and that is only by God's grace and scholarship after scholarship. And so if you are even still in high school and like applying to college, you're like, wait a minute, like, I don't even know if I can go. Like, you never know until you try, right? Like, apply, apply, apply for all the scholarships. And man, I was amazed at the doors that God was opening through those scholarships. And so you never know. It was like my dream school kind of because I didn't know about it and then I did. And then it was kind of out of my budget. And God like provided again and again and again through scholarship after scholarship. And so let that be an encouragement to you. Money to the Lord is nothing. He can do it. He is totally capable of the things that we feel are the most daunting or most overwhelming. So let that be an encouragement to you. But I have three things that I want to share with you that if you are in the season where you feel like the future just feels so far away. I remember when I graduated high school in 2015, and I remember thinking about 2019, like, wow, that feels so far away. Like, once 2019, I don't know what I'll be doing, but I bet I'll be doing this, that, whatever. And sometimes when we're younger, so badly, we want to speed up the timeline and have it on our own timeline and just be done or be able to be doing, quote unquote, the thing we feel called and led to do, right? I know I was totally wrestling with that tension where I was like, really, I'm working at a Gordon food service doing cashier work and doing this like during my holiday and Christmas break or during summers working at summer camp. And I'm like, is this really what I want to do? I don't know. I didn't know at the time, right? But I knew I needed a job. I knew I needed something to help me out in between those seasons. And I just took the opportunity as it came. But sometimes those days and seasons can feel really, really long. The years can feel long, but then again, it'll go by in a flash. And so how do you invest in those 4 years? If you're going to college or if you're not, if you're investing in a trade, in a different skill, how can you use that time not just to your maximize like potential, but how can you actually steward it well? These are three things, three encouragements that I would give. So the first thing, if you find yourself going back on campus and you're kind of now in the rhythm of your classes, then I would encourage you to invest in community. Now, it's really easy to make friends right off the bat, especially if your college kind of blocks your classes together where you have this class together or this one group of housing, like all of you have these classes together. That's a great thing. I think that's awesome. That's super fun, especially if you're in your major classes. You're going to have this built-in community right around you, which is phenomenal. Take advantage of that. I still love my photo community at SCAD where you just speak a different language than, the film and TV people or the animators and even graphic design. I grew to love that because then I actually knew what I was talking about, right? So look right around you in the places and spaces you already are, but also if, faith is important to you, you probably is because you're listening to this podcast, but if it is, like, be intentional about it because choosing your community, like choosing your closest friends, you really need to choose those friends wisely. Again, it's easy to make friends with everyone because everyone's new. You're doing this the first time, you're going to college, or you're a transfer student, or you're like, actually, I'm just going to have a new roommate this year and see where that kind of takes me. Whatever it is, you can make friends pretty easily wherever you are, right? Because you all have this one thing in common. You're all going to this school, right? So that's a good start. That is really good. But those close friends, those people where you really want to do life together one-on-one and build a relationship and a friendship as you go, like choose those people wisely and closely. And it's okay if they don't come immediately. I mean, for me, my closest friends is the fall of 2015, and SCAD was on a quarter system where our quarters were 10 weeks at a time. Our classes moved really fast, right? And the weeks went by and they flew by. But at the same time, it was a lot of work all in a short amount of time. And so, all that to say, though, is that it could feel like the end of the quarter. And I was like, wait a minute, I have friends, but like, where are those core friendships and people where I'm like, I really want to build like a deep and meaningful friendship with like people and be like, where are the people like me who believe the same things, who are interested in the same things, like hammocking and art and stuff. Of course, there's art, but like from a Christian perspective, where are the people like me, right? And believe it or not, really wasn't until the end of the quarter or maybe midterms even until I found some of my closest friends. And it wasn't even on campus or at an activity, if you will. Like it was an outside thing at a college ministry where I found one of my best friends today. And that group of people, like then there's more people and more people and more people, but still there wasn't this, large amount of people where I couldn't keep up with everyone. It was still a close-knit group of people, about maybe 10 people, maybe that, but really I feel like there is like three close friends now who I still stay connected with and been friends with 10 years. So, all that to say though, I met one of my best friends, Haley. You can read about it in my book, Fellowship Over Followers, and all about community and fellowship. And we met at a camping trip. And so, like, I think it was right before the camping trip, but then, like, we were actually forced to be friends because all the new people were in this tent because, of course, all the new people, like, we all kind of got stuck together, which was the best thing because then it forced us to get to know one another. And then the rest was kind of history. And so, be active on campus, get involved with the things around there, like, choose a church, choose a college ministry, like, it's good to be intentional and to know what is important to you, but also like no church is going to be perfect. I think the encouragement I would give is find a college ministry and find a church that you can commit to for those 4 years and you will be better for it, friend. The second encouragement is to try new things. Now, I know this might sound really simple and really easy, but it is really easy to get into a routine of classes and work if you're working or just classes and a little bit of social life and sticking with like within this bubble of your group of friends. And while that's good, again, we established like having those close friends are important and good and meaningful and purposeful and so important, but don't be afraid to try new things. I remember like my first couple weeks, that first quarter at SCAD, where they had like this whole fair of all these clubs, organizations, faith-based ministries and organizations and just different things you could sign up for. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take one of everything and be like, yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds cool. That sounds interesting. And be like, sure, sign me up. Like, okay, let's see. Like, put me on the email list. And if I could actually do it, then maybe that would be like, oh, let me make sure, like, after all those priorities are filled, maybe then I could say yes to this thing. And so, one of those things, it's really funny now when I think about it because it was intramural soccer. There were intramural sports at SCAD, and it was honestly like pretty fun at first because I was like, oh, this is great. I played soccer in high school, like for a long time, and then played basketball as well. And I was like, you know what? This is a great way to meet people who also like love art but also love sports at the same time. And so I joined an intramural soccer league for that quarter. And very quickly, though, because I was already involved with my college ministry, the Porch in Savannah, Georgia, then I was like, oh, Porch is on Thursdays. And we had an opportunity then to join small groups that were starting, of course, for the fall quarter. And I was like, well, that's really important to me. I know I need community. I know I need other believers in my life and people who are older than me too. And the one that I felt led to join was on Tuesday nights. And it was on Tuesday nights, which was the same night as intramural soccer league. And so I'm definitely one where I'm going to commit to something and I'm not going to back out of it. But in this case, which one was a higher priority? It was being in community for me. And of course, you could say, oh, well, Addie, you were in community within the soccer league, right? Yes, but that intentional community where you're being sharpened and refined because it's said a lot, but it is so true. Your 3 to 5 closest friends really do influence you so much more than you think. And so the people you're spending time with, like who you're hanging out with, and it wasn't just a soccer game. It was, group chats and probably going to the beach on the weekends because the beach was 30 minutes away from us, or going to get dinner or going out for ice cream or something like after a game. There was a lot of time and effort into it. In the end, joining a small group was the right choice for me and the more important priority at the time. I think the thing to remember here is to look at what God can do with your yes. When you invest and you choose to stay somewhere and to be planted, God can take that yes and use it for his glory. And so, like, I look at all of those examples and I look at the faithfulness of God in my own life from where I was a freshman, didn't know anyone at all, like in the whole state, in the whole campus, right, at SCAD in Savannah. And from the end of it, I was crying because I was leaving and leaving with such a deep and meaningful experience and being transformed, from just continuing to follow Jesus, but also with the deep, deep and impactful friendships I had made with everyone I got to meet there. And so you never know what God can do. And like, God can do so much within that time. And so say yes, try the new things. Don't get so comfortable living in fear of not trying new things that you blink and it's all over and you didn't do anything new. So try new things. Don't live in fear, and we both will be better for it, even today, wherever you are. My final encouragement is to live and walk purposefully. So often we can be going through college or throughout these, next few years after graduating high school and just being like, man, I wish I was like 30 already, or I wish I was 25 already, right? Whatever it is, whatever that like ideal age where you think you're gonna have everything figured out by then and your life is gonna be perfect and you're like, oh, I wish I could just be married by then, or I could have kids by now. Like, whatever it is, friend, those dreams are good and they're purposeful, but also none of us know God's timing for our lives. And we have to trust Him that He knows the perfect timing because He is the author of our story. And so, my encouragement is do not wish this time away. Yes, it is easy to get swept up into the future and want to dream and be like, oh, what could I build? What could I be doing? What am I going to be doing? Or if I could only have this dream job, then my life is going to be great, right? Or I can't wait until I graduate because I just want to do this thing, right? But friend, like, listen carefully when I say this. This time, you will not get it back. I felt the same way with my last year at high school, even to believe it, where I was so ready for college. I was so antsy kind of to get to Georgia, which was terrifying, but also so exciting at the same time. And God paused me and encouraged me to be like, Addie, don't miss the people who are right around you. There is a gift and a reason that you are in this place for a season. And 4 years might not seem like a lot, but man, I will tell you, I cultivated some of the deepest friendships there, and God will still bring new friendships after college. Of course He will, but do not waste this season away, friend. There's so much joy into discovering who you are and trying new things and being able to dream for the future and being like able to hone your craft and being able to see like, wow, this can help me in the future. But also, there is a balance with our dreams for the future while also being present. We can hold both of these two realities or these tensions, if you will, and we can hold them open-handedly and loosely with a willing heart. And so sometimes we can walk around with like clutched, closed hands, and we're like, oh, if it were just this way, or like, oh, I was supposed to, be in that relationship longer, or I was supposed to be dating by now, or isn't there a ring by spring? There's so many things you can get caught up in the moment, but that may not be your story, and that is okay, friend. It doesn't mean you are a failure, you are behind in life, or even if you're going back home after graduation, or if you don't know what you want to do after graduation, it's okay. Like, don't get so caught up in the future and daydreaming or the academic side of everything where you miss this beautiful gift of people right around you and friends who God has brought into your life for a reason, and He's brought you into their life for a reason too. Like, there are so many things that I have taken from college that I'm using today, and there are times where I'm like, yeah, I'm really glad that that season is over too, because I'm glad to be doing what I'm doing now. But also, none of us can get to the future without embracing the present. So, walk faithfully day by day with God and continue to refine your character, your integrity, your work ethic, your unique skill set, and the things He's called you to do, but also be open to God's timeline, whatever that is. You may have your perfect 5 year plan, but honestly, my 5 year plan, that's now a 6 year plan post grad, looks nothing like I thought it would when I graduated high school and entered into college. So let that be an encouragement to you, friend, that we can remain fully present while also fully expectant of our future while walking with God. For our final thoughts this week, kind of going on this theme, when you leave college, like think about the person you want to be, the woman of God God is calling you to be, or the man of God, if you're a guy listening to this too. Like, think about that person God is inviting you to become and ask yourself, what do I need to do, or what is God encouraging me or inviting me into to grow in to become that person? So let's say you do want to be a mom, you want to get married right out of college. Okay, what do you need to do? You might not need to quote unquote do anything, but how are the experiences and unique opportunities shaping you for the life God is inviting you into? You want to go in the mission field. Amazing. Okay, what is that going to look like practically? Should you start raising support now or working a job now to then be able to put into your savings so then you can go on more mission trips with your college or, ministry or campus ministry, whatever it is, right? Or do you want to make videos? Do you want to be creative? Maybe you start now. What can happen if you start now and that compound interest in the next 3 to 4 years? You have no idea. But I want to encourage you is that God is all about this steadfast and faithfulness of walking daily with Him. And so the seeds you plant now at college or in your trade, wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, like, be encouraged to know that God will grow them, but we also have to put in the work. And so think about that person who God is inviting and calling you to be, and kind of reverse engineer it and be like, oh, wait, if I want to be that woman of God, if I want to be a small business owner, if I want to be a teacher, if I want to be a doctor, that's going to require more school, right? Like there's all these different things, but practical things too. Or if I want to go into ministry, how can I do that now? How can I serve at my church? How can I do this or that? Like fill in the blank. And so, whatever step you take today, friend, start with doing one thing. Say yes to the college ministry, commit to the church, volunteer for something, sign up for a job or apply for a job, whatever it is, right? Take one step today. Whatever it is, do it wholeheartedly, and you will be amazed at the ways God works. So, if this conversation encouraged you, friend, it would honestly mean the world to me if you went over to Instagram and sent me a DM and continue the conversation with me. You can find me at addie.ott, addie.ott, and let's continue this conversation. What is God doing on your campus? How can I pray for you? Let me know. I would love to partner with you in that. And if you want to go one step further to encourage more friends, it would be incredible if you went over to Apple Podcasts and left a review and share just one takeaway from this conversation. And lastly, you may not know this, but on Instagram, we also have a podcast Instagram, which is gentleandlowly.co.pod. I'll put in the show notes in the description for you to go find it, and you can find more encouraging conversations and community over there. Thank you so much for listening, friends. Have a wonderful week and continue to carry the gentle love of Jesus wherever you go.